Now, there's one major thing that a lot of Star Wars fans remain very skeptical about when it comes to the future of this franchise, and a lot of that has to do with Kathleen Kennedy running the show for the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus, and how those two shows, believe it or not, are actually going to be retconning a lot of George Lucas's work from the prequels, and even aspects of the originals as well in there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, that brings us to what's been going on between John, George, and Dave, and specifically how they're trying to counter all of these retcons being made by Kathleen Kennedy. Now, one show in particular that is very much controversial is the Acolyte series, and for a number of reasons. Now, we know that the Acolyte is based at the very end of the High Republic era. In case you guys did not know that, that is true. It takes place roughly 80 years before the events of The Phantom Menace. And within this story, it's a very interesting problem that Kathleen Kennedy has been dealing with, is that it's going to be a new story about how the Sith infiltrate the Jedi Order, but what she's doing that a lot of fans are not agreeing with is that she is changing the nature of the Sith, and not in a good way in the Acolyte series. So, with that being said, the Disney board, let's dive right into exactly what's been going on. The Disney board has been very unhappy, and they apparently hate the Acolyte series after a lot of test footage was shown to them, provided by Kathleen Kennedy, and exactly what they were able to actually provide for, of course, you know, the Star Wars fandom. Now, we know that the Acolyte so far is dealing with a lot of production issues, a lot of setbacks, and more. With the Acolyte now going through many other issues due to Kathleen Kennedy's poor leadership, the Disney board has been very unsatisfied with the looks of the show so far after some test footage was shown to the board. Further, it's described that the Disney board does not approve of the Acolyte and is very worried about its debut on Disney Plus, and even debated canceling and shelving the series midway through filming. However, this is unlikely to happen as Disney does not want to lose tens of millions of dollars in revenue. Right now, the board did not agree with the test footage that was provided by Kathleen Kennedy this week for the Acolyte series that featured some scenes involving Carrie-Anne Moss's character, as well as scenes featuring a new Sith world that reportedly was described as very low budget in appearance and not so convincing in the Star Wars world. So, let me just go over one thing before we get to the next big thing here, is that the reason why some of the test footage was provided as a very low budget scale is they've been dealing with a lot of set issues, and we talked about this, that many of the set designs were taken down for the Acolyte, and whatever ones that they had to build, they weren't able to really build them, because a lot of parts had been on constraint, a lot of machines were put on constraint for a while, in order to build these sets properly. It's a mixture of things, with supply chain issues for building some of the sets. And the thing about this is that it does take, very precise work to build such sets that they were trying to do with the Acolyte. They were trying to do game-changing construction with the set pieces for the Acolyte that just fell apart and did not work out. And they were using specific types of ways to build them. Revolutionary ways, mind you, and it just did not work out that way. Now, given that, of course, we have things like the Acolyte also embracing, giving us, a different view of the Sith that I think a lot of fans are just going to be very much skeptical about. They're not going to really like this. They're going to shy away from it without a doubt. But the thing that really gets me here is what Kathleen Kennedy recently did with, of course, the setbacks. She's the one that made the call to take down many of the set pieces, to take down many of, the physical aspects of the Acolyte, practical effects, you name it, getting rid of those, basically replacing a lot of things with CGI that was provided to the Disney board to look over. And that's why it looks so low budget, and that's why they're very unhappy and why they hate the way things are going right now. And it's not good news, guys, because the Acolyte series, it was supposed to come out this fall, then it got delayed until January of 24, then it got delayed until spring of 24. And it may very well get delayed again. We'll have to wait and see. It might very well be pushed over to the summer of next year. It's very possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's very possible. Now, the thing about this that I think a lot of fans need to be aware of is that further, this was due to setbacks and parts that have been on constraint for building some sets, of course, that were made unavailable after previous ones were taken down. Surprisingly, Leslye Headland is currently in the middle of making some quick, on-the-spot rewrites to the script for The Acolyte that will be filmed later this month that will expand the 4th and 5th episodes of the show. Disney already cut back on 3 whole episodes for The Acolyte that made the series shorter in order to save the fans from being subject to watching filler episodes. All filler episodes were deleted by Disney, and they forced Kathleen Kennedy to not salvage any scene from said episodes for the series to be used in other ones. There you have it. That's another big deal. They got rid of filler episodes, and granted, filler episodes are usually very less expensive in comparison to the ones that contain a lot of action, a lot of CGI-heavy moments and physical sets and stuff like that. The thing about this, too, that's very concerning is the fact that the Acolyte series is probably going to be a very short series at this point. They wanted to make it like 12 episodes long. They got rid of 2 episodes. Now they're getting rid of filler episodes, cutting it back even further. And now Kathleen Kennedy's trying to get into a debate with the higher-ups to give her the clearance to add on more. And we're not quite sure exactly how that's going to roll. If they're going to allow Kathleen Kennedy to add on non-filler episodes to expand the show or not, we'll have to wait and see. We'll update you guys on that in the coming months. But it's a problem. I mean, all of this is a big problem. The Acolyte series is not going to be something that I think fans are going to accept. It's very unfortunate, though, because it sounds fantastic on paper. I will be honest, alright? I mean, it's about emerging dark side powers. It's a mystery thriller. What's not to like about that, right? But we gotta remember what the plot's gonna be like, what Leslye and Kathleen are doing by retconning George's work, and how they're changing the nature of the Sith. We even have a good guy Sith in this story. That makes no sense, by the way. And no, it's not like a Star Killer or anything like that. It is a legitimate Jedi-like Sith, which makes no sense at all, to me at least, in the actual story. She's also creating a thing called the Rule of 3, getting rid of the Rule of 2, all these crazy things that are just going to really drive the fans away. And I think the only thing that they need to worry about is some of the casual fans getting mixed up that The Acolyte is made by FAVREAU and FILONI when it's not. So it's great, guys, to spread the word, let everybody know who is making The Acolyte. It is not a John and Dave driven project, just let people know about that. So anyways, guys, fill me in below what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.